Welcome to the video demonstration of the Travel and Expense eForm. Here you can see the different chapters covered in this video. You can navigate to a specific segment of the video by noting the start times or by clicking the interactive navigation down here. eForms stands for electronic forms, and these are administrative forms that are submitted through the WOW Business Gateway for processing. Currently you use paper forms for processing transactions like payment requisitions and travel and expense reimbursements. These eForms will either minimize or completely eliminate the use of paper forms, allowing us to make Weill Cornell a little greener and, more importantly, your lives a little easier. These new eForms also come with a slew of other benefits. eForms automatically format, calculate, and validate any information you enter. Approvals and rejections are also streamlined and done through the Universal Work List in WBG, very similar to how shopping carts are approved. Notifications are sent when an eForm is completed or rejected. The eForms monitor allows you to check the progress of your eForm and see any details you entered, as well as who's currently processing your eForm. In this video, we'll review the steps of entering a travel and expense eForm. The travel and expense eForm should be used for expenses incurred during overnight business travel. Remember, all other expense reimbursement should be requested through the payment requisition eForm, including local employee travel, subscriptions, small utility bills, non-employee travel, honorarium, and research subjects. To begin, you'll select eForms from the tab navigation bar on the WOW Business Gateway. To submit a travel and expense reimbursement, also known as T&E, you will click the Create New eForms button and select Travel and Expense from the drop-down menu. The Travel and Expense eForm will guide you through the process with the help of a wizard. It's broken down by section, which you can see here in this clickable navigation bar. You also have another toolbar up here, providing you another means of navigating between sections, as well as the ability to save or check your data, get information on policies, additional help, as well as closing the window. You'll see the eForm contents down here. Required fields are designated by a blue asterisk. On the first step, Travel Details, you'll enter information about the requester. That's you. You should see your seaweed name and date automatically filled in. You would just need to verify your phone number and extension. In the next section, you'll enter information about the traveler. If that's you, you would select Self under the Request For drop-down menu. If you're submitting the request on behalf of someone else, select Other Employee. If you select Self, your information will automatically populate in the rest of the section. In this scenario, we'll select Other Employee and enter their information below. After entering the seaweed, you can click Enter to check if it matches the correct name. You can also search for a person by clicking the white box to the right of the entry field. Just a quick note here, when entering an eForm for another employee, you will still have to obtain their signature on a paper form after entering the itemized expense details in Step 2. Next, you'll enter the traveler's phone number. And finally, you'll select the travel type, with choices including domestic, foreign, or both. If foreign or both are selected, additional fields will pop up where you must enter the countries where you traveled. Once you're finished entering this information, we'll click the Next button. You can also click the name of the next section to jump right to it. On the next page, Itemized Expenses, you can see that your request has been saved with the request number. That request number is how you'll track this T&E request in the eForms monitor. Under the Business Purpose section, you'll enter the first and last day of your travel, as well as a detailed description. Under Itemized Expenses, you'll enter specific line items such as lodging, travel costs, meals, as well as any conference or seminar fees. For example, we'll start by entering our conference and seminar fee, entering a from date and to date. Next, you'll select the expenditure type from this drop-down menu here. If you were already reimbursed for these expenses, you'll want to note the options that say prepaid. An example of a prepaid expense would be if you paid for your conference or seminar fee a few months earlier and wanted to get reimbursed right away. For that reimbursement, you would have submitted a payment requisition. But because that expense marries up to this conference, you'll still want to include it here. If you select the prepaid option, you'll need to enter the prepayment method in the next column. In this example, though, we're going to use this travel and expense eForm for our reimbursement. Next, you'll enter a short description of your expense, followed by the account type, which will be either a fund or WBS element, and the account number. You can hit Enter after entering the fund to populate the account description to verify the name of the fund. You can also press Enter on your keyboard or the check button at the top of your screen at any point while entering information to see if there are any errors. As you can see, we still have to enter an amount. Red errors need to be fixed before continuing on and submitting the eForm. Yellow errors won't prevent you from continuing, but indicate that you should take note. Green notifications indicate your transaction was successful. Let's go back to the line item and enter the amount to clear the error. We'll enter $800 and hit enter. That cleared the red error message. You can enter in additional line items below this one for your other expenses, if that applies to you. You can either click the next button or click additional details to proceed to the next step. On the additional details page, you can select your payment delivery details. By selecting mail check, a check will be created and mailed to your home address in 10 business days. If you select pickup check, you can choose between 2 different Weill Cornell locations to pick up your check. The check should be available in approximately 10 business days. Down here you can enter any additional comments about your reimbursement request that you feel are relevant, or if any clarification is needed on a particular item. After entering this information, we'll click the next button. The attachments page is where you'll enter any required documentation. Just a reminder, you can click the policy button up here to verify which documents are required for your reimbursement. You can access the printable form for employee verification by clicking the preview button in the top of the navigation bar. You'll want to print this page and have the traveling employee sign it. After that's completed, you'll want to scan that document and save it to your computer so you can upload it in the attachment section of this wizard. To upload an attachment, click the Required Attachment button. Next, you'll choose your file and give it a name. When you're done, click OK. You'll do this for employee verification as well. After entering this information, we'll click the Next button. On the next page, Review and Submit, you can review a PDF outline of your entries. Double check to make sure the entries are accurate. After checking your entries, click the Submit button at the top of the page. A window will appear asking if you're sure you want to submit the eForm. We'll go ahead and click Submit. The next page is a confirmation page where you can note the eForm request ID number. Clicking Exit will take you back to the eForms monitor where you can view the progress of your request. Once you've submitted your eForm, it will go through an approval process similar to shopping carts in WBG. After submission, the eForm will be routed to the authorized approvers of the fund or WBS element you used. Each fund in WBS element has a group of people that are responsible for managing it. This includes approving charges against it. If you submit an eForm using 2 or more different accounts, it will first be routed to all authorized account approvers. After the account level approval of your eForm, it will be routed to your division administrator for approval, and then finally to your department administrator. Once your eForm is approved by your department administrator, it is sent over to our financial teams for final approval and processing. You will receive an email notification once your eForm has been posted. If you chose to have your check mailed, you'll want to allow up to 2 weeks for the check to arrive, factoring in post office delivery speed. If you opted to pick up your check, it should be available at your chosen location within a week after final approval of your eForm. After submitting your eForm, you can monitor its progress in the eForms monitor, which we'll cover next. The eForms monitor is the main hub of all activities surrounding eForms. As we've already seen, it can be accessed by clicking the eForms tab from the WBG homepage. From here, you can create a new eForm, as we discussed earlier. You can also view all eForms you've submitted yourself. If you're designated as an approver of eForms, you will also see other eForms listed here for your department. You can filter by type of eForm by clicking the radio button next to the type you're looking for. You can also filter by status. In this scenario, I'm going to choose travel and expense eForms that are awaiting approval. The preview column opens the PDF that was generated for your eForm. The details column displays a more detailed view of the eForm, similar to your view when you filled it out in the first place. You can see details about the requester and the traveler, as well as a listing of the expenses you logged and any additional details you may have entered. On this display view, you can also see some accounting details, as well as any comments from accounts payable. They may reply to you requesting additional documentation or clarification of an expense. You may want to take particular note of the workflow log here. This is where you can tell the status of your eForm, as well as who is processing it. If there are multiple approvers, you can click this button here to view them. You can also view any documents you attach to the original eForm. The progress bar will show you the progress made on the approval of your eForm. The request ID is the number assigned to your eForm when you created it. The business area is an area under the umbrella of a specific department. For example, under the finance department, some of the business areas are accounts payable, grants and contracts accounting, and payroll. Request type indicates the type of eForm you submitted, for example, a travel and expense versus a payment requisition. And subtype is where you submitted your eForm from. Request status allows you to see the status of your eForm. Saved eForms mean that you haven't yet submitted them. Awaiting approval means it's in the workflow, and lastly, your eForm can either be approved or rejected. You can also see who requested the eForm as well as the date it was requested. Thank you for watching this eForms video demonstration. You can find other eForms help documentation, including job aids, in the eForms section of help files. Until next time.